Let me start this off by telling a story. So I started in real estate a little bit over 2 years ago. And when I started in real estate, someone at my office said, here's a tip for working with buyers. He said, well, here's a great value proposition for the buyer. Just tell the buyer the seller's paying the commission, so my services to you are free. Now, hold up, because that's not actually an ethical statement to make, to say that to a buyer that my services to you as a buyer are free because the seller's paying the commission. There we go. Everything I touch turns to sold. Hello, my name is Bruce Bradbury, and I'm a real estate agent in the Seattle metropolitan area. Great to meet you. I'm making this video because some massive changes are occurring in the real estate industry. So if you're a fellow real estate agent like myself, then maybe this video will be helpful. Maybe you've already heard the news, but I'm more making this video for our clients, right? Those people that are actively or would be, prospecting, being buyers or sellers of real estate, because this is a huge move in the industry and it's going to affect every transaction. And that has to do with commissions. Commissions, baby. Buyers and sellers pay real estate agents like myself a fee, a commission for the real estate services that they provide. And what service do I provide? Well, if you're a buyer, I am helping you find the property. I am, once we nail down the property, negotiating on your behalf to get you the best deal and terms for the property. That could be sliding scale with money or negotiation terms or contingencies, inspections, all the like. And then I am guiding my buyers through the transaction process to close, helping organize and keep track of everyone, because there are lenders, escrow, the other parties, the sellers, maybe there are vendors, there are contractors doing labor. So helping to manage that whole thing. Now, from the seller side, I'm a listing agent. What am I doing? Well, I am getting the home ready to sell. That could be repairs that need to be done. That is also staging the house to make it look the most presentable after we've done those repairs. That is doing professional photography and marketing. And then that is making the listing live on the multiple listing service, making that listing blast out there. So if you're looking online, if you're a consumer and you're looking on some website out there, you can bet that listing has IDX'd from the multiple listing service. And basically the website, what that means is the website just took the data from the MLS via a contract that they have with the MLS and put it on their website. So that's what you're seeing when you're looking at Zillow and Redfin and services like that. Commissions. Let's talk about it because it's really important. Now, media. I'm going to do a little switch of the slide here. Awesome. Okay, good. Now, here's what we got to talk about. And this is a public website. Anyone can go on this website. We're going to go to Legal Bulletin 222, and let me just read you guys and girls and everyone what's going on. Revisions to Northwest MLS rules and forms. Several MLS rules and forms were revised effective Monday, October 3rd. Now, if you look at the date, today's October 5th, so these forms are a few days old, these changes. The revisions further enhance transparency regarding broker compensation and create additional opportunities for consumers and brokers to discuss and negotiate compensation. The changes provide greater flexibility for consumers and brokers when selling and purchasing real estate and promote innovation and competition in the market. Now, let me tell you all why this is important. I started in real estate a little over 2 years ago. And I was basically, real estate's very entrepreneurial. You're really creating your own client base. You're really creating the own quality of service that you provide. It's basically, every real estate agent that you interact with, that's their own business. You have the brokerage, but every real estate agent basically has their own practices and stuff. So when I was new, I locked in. I got an appointment with a buyer. This person wanted to buy their home for the first time, and I was like, I don't know what to say. And I was like really scared. I was talking, to another agent in the office. And the whole thing is, okay, what am I going to talk to them about in the appointment? I mean, they're going to get there and, all right, we're going to talk about like everything that I just talked about, going through the transaction, like, handling inspections and that kind of stuff, and, going through the list. But I didn't know why the client should choose me to be their real estate agent, right? And we call that the value proposition. What makes me different than any other real estate agent out there? And this guy told me, well, if you need a value proposition, this is a really, really good one for a buyer. Tell the buyer, your services, the services that I provide to you are free because the seller pays the commission. Now, if you already know where I'm going, you'd say, hold up, that's not really an ethical statement to be making, because in actuality, in a lot of cases, the seller does offer a selling office commission, and you can see that publicly if you're looking on Zillow or apartments.com, or not apartments.com, but Zillow and Redfin and all those other sites. But that's not really true, because the buyer is, in a way, paying for the commissions because all the proceeds and all the funds are coming from the buyer. I mean, the buyer is the one purchasing the house. So, if you sell the house for $1 million and the commissions are, X amount, even though the seller pays them, that money is still coming from the buyer. It just shows on the seller side of the settlement statement. So we're going to go over that, and the forms are actually changing because things need to be more transparent. There are currently a few class action lawsuits against the National Association of Realtors for making these commissions not as transparent, right? If I am a seller of a property, I used to, it was actually required that I would provide a commission to the buyer agent, right? So the buyer's agent usually would get paid by the seller in that specific example. And that used to be actually a requirement back in the day. But, again, something comes up where you're thinking, oh, wait, well, I'm the seller and I'm paying for the agent on the opposite side of the table that's negotiating against me. So how does that work out? It's no longer a requirement, but it is, I would say, very common that a seller is providing a buyer agent commission. But it is kind of unclear, because say if I have a buyer, if I agree with the buyer, for example, that, okay, whatever the seller pays me, that's what my commission is going to be. Well, that's kind of unclear because, not talking about any specific numbers of commission, but it's kind of unclear. It's like, okay, I'm working with this buyer, but every property is offering a different commission structure, a different amount, a different percent, and it's kind of like the gray area. Like, I don't know what my commission is going to be. Like, I'm a professional, I'm providing a professional service. I don't know what my compensation is going to be until we locate that property. And also, each property having a different, amount of commission, in a way, is there have been many accusations in this class action suit against the National Association of Realtors that in itself is steering. That on the MLS you can see what the commission is, what amount. So you could see, like, if you're a real estate agent, you could be mentally kind of steering away from properties that offer a lower percent commission. It's totally not ethical. However, there's just not enough transparency. So anyway, without further ado, we're 10 minutes into the video. I haven't showed you the actual contract. So let's go through that. Let's go to forms, and we're going to go to the Form 21. So this is the residential purchase and sale agreement. And what's very cool about this, I don't know, I think it's cool. I love contracts and stuff. They're really cool. We're filling this out. This is part of what I'm doing as a real estate agent. I'm filling this out on my client's behalf. There are certain parts of the contract, of course, that the client fills out, but for the most part, we're drafting this stuff up and creating the contract. So this is new, and let me zoom in here. This is new. Buyer brokerage firm compensation. So it's actually listed on the residential purchase and sale agreement. Okay, so we can check box a cash amount or check box a percent amount paid as offered, or other. And there are certain addenda. This is a new addition where we're being added more transparent buyer brokerage firm compensation. So now let's go back and let's look at form. Let's do form 1. Residential listing input. This is something that a listing that a seller would be filling out with a listing agent. And this is actually the documentation that's needed and required to put your property on the market. So you see this, buyer brokerage compensation. Okay, it's actually listed right there. So we can put in an amount, put in a percentage, buyer brokerage compensation that the seller is offering. Now, if we go back to form 21, or we can recall, there was actually a stipulation that the actual contract is providing that info as well. This is a new form as well that they added, Form 41C, buyer brokerage firm's compensation addendum. And this is going to show, okay, check each box, buyer brokerage's firm's compensation, no compensation offered by seller, additional buyer brokerage compensation with the buyer representation agreement, a credit to the buyer from maybe an additional percentage that is more than what was discussed with the buyer broker and the buyer, or a reduction in buyer brokerage firm compensation. So there are different options, and this is actually for a firm that you're signing out with the contract as well. So anyway, we'll close this out and we'll go back and essentially just wanted to touch upon the core facts that commission is more transparent now than it used to be in the past. There have been multiple iterations, like I said, in the past prior to, I believe, 2019 in the Northwest MLS. There was actually a stipulation that the seller had to offer a buyer brokerage compensation. But that is no longer, and that since, I believe 2019, I believe in 2019 that change was made. After that, no longer is required that the seller pay that. And then, to wrap it up, new changes now to make it even more transparent so that on the front end, all commissions are stipulated and agreed, and it's written down there in the contract. So there are no disagreements on what's going to happen. Now, what's an interesting thing too that I will mention with buyers is that there are a lot of buyers, especially first-time home buyers, that don't have a lot of capital, of capital up front. And they maybe are an FHA buyer. Maybe they have, only 3.5% to put down. They don't have that extra amount to pay their buyer broker. So what's cool about the current setup is that when the seller pays the commission, the buyer is getting financing for the house. Say the house is $500,000. And out of the $500,000 that the seller gets, 3.5% is from the buyer. The other 96.5% is from the lender, but the seller gets the whole $500,000. Out of that $500,000, the commissions are paid to the seller agent, to the buyer agent, and to the listing agent. But So that's financed into the loan of the property. However, if it were eradicated, if it said, no way, no, the seller's not going to be paying the commission any longer, then that does raise some concerns with some people that buyers would not be able to, in some cases, pay any kind of buyer commission if they're really strapped for cash, because consequentially that would mean that the buyer would have to have a ton of capital up front to pay a commission. They would have to actually budget, instead of just budgeting for down payment and closing costs. They would actually have to budget too for the buyer's agent commission out of pocket. So anyway, there's a lot going on. I hope this video was fun for you all, and hope you're having a good Wednesday, October 5th out there. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. This is a developing story in the real estate industry, and we're going to keep you up to date on everything that goes on, because these are really, really impactful professional decisions that are being made, not only by the Northwest MLS, but by nationwide MLSs, by many different MLSs as well, because there's this national case that's going on currently. Okay, well, everyone, my name was Bruce Bradbury, and I hope you have a good day. Bye.